Good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026 Public Works Committee meeting. I'm Lori Dr. Wright calling the meeting to order. Item number 2 is Ashley Webb. Oh, there he is, okay. Ashley Webb, reappointment to the Sales Tax Overview Committee. Term expires December 31st, 2028. Attended 13 of 15 meetings. Mr. Webb comes to us from District 4. Come on down. Chair Webb. Is that what we should, Chairman Webb?
Sure.
Welcome to our table. We usually only get to see you downstairs.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Well, we all know that you're the chair of the Sales Tax Overview Committee. We get your reports every month, but it looks like you're up for a reappointment, and you said yes, so tell us why. Why do you want to keep doing this?
Well, I've enjoyed the last 15 or so years, and then I think that I've at least developed and been able to maintain some modicum of institutional knowledge as a lay person in this capacity that I think still has some value, and so
Great.
I'm kind of looking forward to maybe doing it for one more term and handing it off to some people that were as young as I was when I started,
Yeah.
all those many years ago.
Yeah,
Which didn't seem that long ago.
right? It goes quickly. How are we doing on seats? Is every district represented?
I think we're all represented. I don't, if we have any vacancies, Katie Spear has been helping coordinate
Okay.
that, and I think we've been working to fill those. We had a few that were people that weren't necessarily participating, and so we've, I think, used the discretion that was afforded
The charter.
to go ahead and get some new appointments.
Oh, good.
I don't know the status on all those, and I apologize, but I can certainly follow up and let you guys know.
No, I would just encourage council colleagues to check in and make sure your district's covered. Counselor Bingle,
You let those counselors know for those specific
or the
districts.
staff will.
We generally have, I think most recently we were coordinating, Katie was coordinating with Dana, and I'll follow up to make sure that you've been individually notified about who was.
Okay.
Who needed to be, who had a seat that was gonna be.
So I gotta make
vacated
more
for
deals if
attendance.
that's what I gotta do.
Well, we appreciate the work of the Sales Tax Overview Committee. To have that level of granular oversight, the way that you all do, is so helpful to us and the citizens. And we are constantly reminding people that when we approve these packages, it's not, do whatever you want. We've got lots of oversight, and so your leadership and the committee structure and everything is so important to those monthly reports. Counselor Bellis.
Yeah, I was just glad you were also down to serve again, your institutional knowledge, especially as there's so many of these big, capital sales tax package and projects that you've been here actually getting to see from start to finish, and I'm glad you're gonna get to finish a number of some of these other ones that have been a long haul. And I'm appreciative also because of that institutional knowledge, what you're able to share with the other folks on that committee, because it is so informative both to us as a body, to the community, and then also it's one of the best ways for those community members to also really civically engage and learn how city government works. So I think it's just, I don't know, a really important committee, and we're glad that you're willing to continue to serve. And you also give such beautifully informative yet concise updates to us when you come downstairs, and we love that.
Yes.
Well, I did want to just commend all of our city liaisons over the last 15, 16 years that I've been involved, and even prior to that. I think that we wouldn't be able to do half of what we do without their responsiveness and their attentiveness to try to get us all the information that we want in a format that I think is best going to serve us, but also the citizens were there to pick up exactly what we were seeing as well. So just kudos to them and for their continuing efforts. We're very thankful.
Yes. Chair Gilbert.
Thank you for all that you do for Tulsa. I mean, especially for the sales tax overview committee, but also what you do outside of this committee. It's amazing to see the things that you do, and especially at Oktoberfest. So, sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Right.
Everybody knew, right? I mean,
Everyone's like, how do we know that?
he's not Santa,
He is Oktoberfest.
but he's pretty darn
Mr.
close.
Oktoberfest.
German.
Counselor
Yes.
Holler.
Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
done yet. But this committee is just so important to the residents because it's that layer of transparency of the capital projects that we put together that they approve, so that they know that we are following through with what they voted on. So if, and only if, we put together another package, would you stay another 15 years?
Like these hours.
I said
I might look at another 4.
Okay, all right.
I would be excited to see what you all can do.
The other ones don't have as many field trips, so.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Oh, thank you. Counselor Holharper?
I didn't realize you were no longer in my district.
I'm still in both. I have the house at 13th and Frisco and then the one down the street from you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two of the best districts in the city.
Authentically.
Oh, wait a
So
minute.
either side
You
of
have been on
downtown.
there a long time, and even when I was on the whole sales tax overview committee, so I really appreciate all the help you gave me, which I think has certainly helped me in my terms, so appreciate it.
Counselor Dutton?
Yeah, so you're welcome to buy a house in my district. So I can be fully represented.
Okay.
Some real estate
Yeah.
Or just Kendall Whittier neighborhood where they're all those districts are represented. Well,
And you
Mr.
show up for
Webb,
meetings, too.
you've been through this before. We will take up your confirmation at the 5 o'clock on the 29th. You're welcome to attend and say some words when the vote goes through, or if you can't join us, that's fine too. I don't know if that's also the day that you would be reporting out. I didn't know if someone aligned that for you, but,
I did not know, so I'll
okay.
put that on the calendar.
So yeah, next Wednesday.
I still owe Phil because I missed the October meeting.
Yeah.
So I'll schedule that for.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service and your continued leadership, and we're grateful you're willing to step up one more time, at least.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 3, an ordinance closing a certain utility easement requested by Deborah K. Polinsky, Sizemore and Associates, for property located at 6308 East 109th Street, Lot 3, Block 1 of Tracy Estates, for building a home in District 8. And we have Mr. Zachary joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul Zachary, Public Works. We did get an application and have routed it through all the utilities. There was a 17.5-foot back easement on where these folks were building a new home, and they just needed 12.5 foot of it taken away if they could, and there was no objection to that, so we will have a 5 foot. You can have service lines and other ways to reach them, but all they needed was 12.5, and nobody objected, so we would recommend approval for this ordinance closing 12.5 feet of our 17.5-foot easement.
Great. Anything from you, Counselor Lakin, on this item?
Nope.
Nope, okay.
Okay. You going,
What's it?
honey?
Moving on to number 4 is a license agreement between the City of Tulsa and Theodore T. and Kathy A. Timmermans Family Trust for property located at 1918 East 30th Place, Forest Hills Edition, to install, use, and maintain 2 colored stained concrete driveways with brick inlay, a colored stained pathway with decorative brick and decorative landscape rocks within the street right-of-way in District 4.
We like our decorative driveways in District 4.
That's right.
We
These
should
are-
do a tour of decorative driveways,
So we could do a book.
like a little PSA coffee table.
That's good, like a coffee
Leave
table.
me off
Yeah.
that tour.
Wow.
Unique driveways of Tulsa.
We've got a license agreement for these driveways. Unlike the one last week where they actually did a license agreement before they constructed it, this one's coming in after.
This is a thank you,
Yeah, this is, are you sure we
agreement?
need to have this? So there's a diagram on here. They've got both a entrance sidewalk and 2 driveways. Very nice looking, but it is a nice brick and a nice pattern, and nobody objected to it, and they are fine with realizing that if somebody goes and cuts through their improvements, that the restoration of that is at their deal, so.
How do we inform the public and the contractors that, like, it's better to come ask first before we do these things? We've had a lot of these in District 4, like, and I don't think nefarious on the property owners necessarily. I'm sure they have a contractor that's like, I got it, I'll take care of it.
What
Is there-
what we've seen is a lot of times they are aware of the requirements, and then when they start asking for permits to be cleared so they could occupy or something like that, they start going down that checklist and say, ooh, we haven't done this one yet, and they come back to it. So I don't think that it's purposeful, it's just a matter of, a lot of folks are really relying on their builders and are
Correct.
relying on the design professionals that knew this at the time of permitting, and they just Oh, yeah, it's just an afterthought doing it, so. We haven't had any, well, I should say, we've had a couple where we had to make some adjustments afterwards,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's working, but it really,
Like an informed consumer kind of thing,
Yeah.
like, check the checklist with your contractor or designer. Okay, well, that works out. Yes, Counselor Beck.
So are you repping OSU today?
yes, but that's not, that's just one. This is Work Zone Awareness Week in the month. The governor's declared it. In fact, I think the Williams Bridge is glowing orange today, as is the Devon Tower. But yes, it's just being a reminder to everybody as they're going through work zones.
In the cone zone.
We have the spring bloom of orange, and put your phones down, quit, don't be
Progress.
impatient. Be impatient outside the construction zones, don't do it inside.
And we have a new ordinance to not have your device in your hand when you're in them.
That would be good. So anyhow, so yes, this is work zone awareness. I'll go back to my standard black and white. And the,
Very good.
you don't need to adjust your set. I will
That's
go
right.
back.
Technicolor,
There we go.
Mr. Zachary.
Thank you.
It's temporary. Thank you. Item 5 is a resolution adopting revisions to December 12th, 2024 City of Tulsa regulatory floodplain maps as the official maps of the regulatory floodplains of the City of Tulsa, Oklahoma, amending portions of previous City of Tulsa regulatory floodplain map panels 48, 49, and 53, providing that copies of said maps be filed and kept in the office of the city clerk, and making said maps available to the public at a reasonable charge. Hi, will you just introduce yourself?
I'm Brooke Avanis, I'm in Water Sewer.
Thank
Stormwater
you.
Design.
Do you not celebrate today?
I didn't know I was supposed to. I'll go tomorrow. I'll be a day late.
We're gonna find you a vest.
Yeah.
I have one in there.
Eric Lee's got it.
Eric's
ready.
Eric Lee's wearing his.
Yeah.
Orange tie,
Terry doesn't.
orange
Oh,
headband.
and I feel so bad.
Thank you.
Of course, so,
She's actually here to talk to us about regulatory floodplains. Listening ears, please.
Yeah,
this is,
exactly.
this is a FEMA floodplain that has been revised by a developer at 58 Flamingo. They went through and did a remodel on the existing conditions, and they were able to actually lower the floodplain in this location by 3.5 feet. So it's been approved by FEMA, and so we're doing our part. And they're not doing
Great. That's in District 7. Okay, item 6 is resolution adopting the June 10th, 2026 Federal Emergency Management Agency floodplain insurance rate maps, firms, for Tulsa County and incorporated areas, map panel 53, as the official flood maps for those parts of Tulsa County lying within the City of Tulsa city limits, which maps in electronic atlas form are attached here too and made a part hereof, superseding the previous Tulsa County and incorporated areas flood insurance. Oh, we're helping.
Just in time.
perfect.
Providing the copies of said maps be filed and kept in the office of the city clerk, making said maps available to the public at a reasonable charge. This is related to the last item.
It's it's a different location.
Okay.
But it's a similar item. It's actually at 81st and Memorial.
Oh.
And it goes down to 86th and Memorial.
Oh.
There's a transportation project that replaced culverts on Memorial just west of 81st, and then Regent Prep did a couple projects. And they went through the Clomar process, but then the Lomar process, we're actually putting in new hydrology, so new flows and flow rates.
Okay.
And this one also reduced floodplain limits.
Also in District 7, right on the border of District 8. Yay! It looks like you have a parting gift today, so that you two can celebrate Work Zone Awareness Month.
That's my color.
A parting gift. I don't even want to know why you had that and knew where it was.
It's very handy.
Oh. We can trade off on who's gonna get to wear it. All right. Item number, is that all for you? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have all month to find something orange. Next week we should all come orange.
I think so.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right, now we're on item 7. This is brought to us by Counselor Bellis. It's an ordinance amending Title 4, Tulsa Revised Ordinances, titled Mayor, Auditor, and Council, Chapter 2, titled Auditor, Section 207, titled Additional Duties, providing that the city auditor shall promote transparency and public access to information by identifying, collecting, reviewing, and providing data maintained by the city of Tulsa. Counselor Bellis.
Yeah, over here, I'll invite the auditor and anyone there's representative up to the table. So yeah, we have our city auditor. I promise this is something I did with the auditor, not to the auditor, so good policy making there. Nathan and I had discussed a bit about when you look at the scope of duties assigned to the auditor in our actual charter, and then in some of these like language that's kind of like other duties or things that it covers, they obviously are largely financial, but of course we know that in order to analyze the impact and success of financial investments, you also need to be able to look at data sets for outcomes on the other end as well, which really is kind of generative to this discussion. But I'll let the auditor talk a bit more about how this would kind of both help support data transparency and access for the whole community, and then also help him prioritize his extensive list of different auditor priorities, because I know you have a lot on your plate, so.
Yeah, I go back and forth between kicking myself to add an additional duty to the plate, but I do think this is a good pairing with our mission, which is really to be an independent and impartial office dedicated to ensuring accountability and transparency, as well as efficiency in city government. So if you have any questions, I can do more of a presentation.
Would you just mind sharing a little bit, being like, hey, here's what it looks like right now, and once this
Yeah.
happens, here's what this changes for my office?
Sure. Yeah, right now, we follow the Institute of Internal Audit Standards. With that, we have to make an opinion as we do our audits, and that does not allow us to just produce data without an opinion. And so this is giving us a duty that then requires me to kind of split that into two divisions and keep the internal audit division separate, so that they can do their duties with independence and objectivity. And then this is allowing us to kind of push some of the data sources out so that you can do your own research and analysis on the data at that level.
Yeah, so it's kind of like just bolstering and providing an additional mechanism. If they're investigating and pulling data sets and doing their audit duties, they can also publicly release data that is hypothetically public anyway. So.
Any council discussion or questions? Councilor Gilbert?
So you just put out a survey. So will we get be able to see the results of that?
Yes, yeah, that'll be coming out, and
How much longer can people take that survey?
That's through May.
Okay.
And then that'll come out at the same time as our annual audit.
Okay.
And that's helping us in our risk assessment. Part of our risk assessment process, I know this is off agenda a little bit, but is that we
It's
ask
data
every-
collection that you'll be
Data collection.
reporting
Yes,
out.
right.
It's related.
We ask every city councilor for a one-on-one as part of our risk assessment, and we'll be sharing the results in that as well.
Okay. Do we get to see the results of the full survey or just the
Yes.
portion? Okay, good. Okay.
So
Thank you.
especially if this ordinance passes, then it sounds like not only will we see the data, but the public will be able to access the data too, like from your website or
Yes.
some
Good.
downloadable
In
portal.
summarized form.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Counselor Hall Harper?
So the results have been pretty good?
Yeah, thank you for all your help. Last year, we did it for the first time.
I mean, just responses.
We had 300 responses, and this year, we just went over 2,100 responses.
Good. And the window's still
And
open?
whose district has the most responses?
Oh, I'm not gonna get into that.
Sounds like somebody's asking a
We
question
did
they
get
already
to
know the
work
answer
together, he
to.
did send a heat map of where it had highest and less, and then we did connect with some nonprofits in different areas to make sure they could help push things out in the lower response
It's District
areas.
1.
Is there's a fort?
Competition's heating up.
Well, that'll be publicly available information. That'll be publicly available information after this ordinance.
That's right.
He would release that
Well,
anyway.
I sent it out on my constant contact email.
Oh, there's a pro tip for the rest of us. Well, so this is just going through the regular ordinance process. It'll be on for first reading tonight and then for a vote next week. So if you have questions or concerns, definitely bring them back before the vote next week. Thank you for the work. You're listening, that we have a lot of conversations about access to data, how we can use data to drive decisions, but we need to be able to see it. Sometimes in a more raw format than like the final, little packaged thing. So it sounds like there's some flexibility here as we.
We've got to be able to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Seeing it
much,
is not the
Nathan.
Yeah, we'll see it, all of it,
Yeah.
And
And then
then-
actually make decisions
and then
based on the data.
decide
That's
how
the challenge.
we're gonna look
Yeah.
into it. Speaking of that, I did see the mayor's memo, the equality indicators for the recent year will be out next month as well. So we're gonna get a lot of data points to be looking at. All right, item number 8 is a discussion with the Oklahoma Natural Gas ONG franchise agreement regarding their agreement and the renewal. And we have some guests from ONG. We have Ms. Davis. Are you leading this one?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. So Sarah Davis, Council Administrator, and then I'll let our ONG friends introduce themselves.
Lauren McKinney, I'm Community Relations Manager for ONG.
Morgan Pilkington, Director of Operations for Tulsa Metro.
Okay, so today's a very exciting day, because not every council gets to do a franchise agreement. They don't come up that often, so you're a lucky council. We've been working with ONG and the Public Works team for a couple of months, and before we bring any sort of formal ordinances for the franchise agreement, we wanted to provide an overview of where we are in the process and go over with you a timeline for moving forward in that process. Starting first, so you know everything that we do, we go back to the charter, and the charter provides for what a franchise is, and you'll see that on your screen. Franchise is really defining the relationship between ONG and the city in the use of the right-of-way. So when we do adjust the franchise agreement, our charter requires that to be a public vote, and so does the state constitution as well. The longest by state law that a franchise can be is 25 years. And then even kind of equally important is what is a franchise not. And so some of you will remember this a little bit from when we did PSO about 3 or 4 years ago. A franchise is not us determining the rates for gas service. We're not providing the regulatory rules around that. That is all defined by state statute, and the Corporation Commission is over those types of things. They too have elected representatives to hear from constituents as well, and they have a lot of processes that they go through whenever they adjust rules and regulations. So when we started this process with ONG, we had about 5 high-level goals. This actually went back further than I thought it did. We've been in essentially a 120-year partnership. An earlier version of ONG had an agreement with the city starting in 1903. We wanted to make sure we were strengthening coordination of activities in the right-of-way. So obviously, ONG has some pretty critical services in the right-of-way. The right-of-ways are used every day by our citizens, and there's a lot of coordination of all the different activities that we need to do to best serve their customers and your constituents. So the third and fourth goals were to make sure that we're complying with ADA requirements, not only during construction, but also in permanent improvements. And that we took a look at the compensation for the right-of-way use, and that is one of the things the franchise agreement does define for ONG's use of that public right-of-way. And then finally, there's kind of a broad latitude on how long a franchise agreement can last. We wanted to still maintain some flexibility to change as technology and circumstances change. So to achieve these goals, we worked through a draft franchise agreement with ONG, and I wanted to go over some highlights with you. And like I said, next week we'll bring the actual formal copy, and we'll go through that and begin that process as well. So after evaluating the compensation, we wanted to increase the compensation for use of the right-of-way. Got some more slides on that, so we'll go into that a little bit further in the presentation. But that is so we can continue our strategic focus on right-of-way maintenance and beautification efforts. We are proposing a 20-year franchise term. And then on the third point, both engineering groups from both organizations worked a lot about setting kind of clear standards for ADA, but also the coordination requirements. So when you see the franchise agreement next week, you're going to see some changes in the coordination of how we do some of our projects. So when we're looking at compensation for in the right-of-way, the City of Tulsa's current rate is 3.1%. We did some evaluation of surrounding communities. ONG assisted, Catherine in our office also assisted. In looking at those rates, Tulsa is less than many of our immediate neighbors around. The proposal would be to increase it from a 3.1% to a 4% franchise fee. 4% is the most that our charter allows. We're a little different than other communities, that we set a charter max of 4%. However, if you did 4%, we would still be lower than many of our surrounding communities. And we listed some on there: Broken Arrow, Sand Springs, and Jinx. Those are all at 4.25%.
Sorry, not to cut in, but just as a small, what's the history of us capping it, do we know? Like why that's in the charter?
I believe it was in the original adopted charter. I don't think that
Okay.
provision has changed.
Like
That
looking-
one changing.
Okay, just checking where that came from, thanks.
Mhm.
I'll ask Roger Mantle.
Yeah, I was saying, I'd ask Roger. And so there is a proposal for if you did increase the revenue, what are you going to do with it? And so just like in the PSO franchise, the group working on this, there was a strong inclination to provide some sort of voter certainty on how those funds would be used. And so those funds would be the proposal is to directly reinvest those back into the right-of-way. Like I said before, that would be an additional $1.4 million a year. When you did the PSO franchise, you created a special revenue fund called the Public Ways Fund. That fund, that ordinance defines where those funds are used. And so far, that ordinance has been, once the contract and things started collecting that, been in effect for about 3 years. And so you have seen some successes, so over $1 million in plantings have occurred with the PSO funds. And it's also planned to provide a mechanism to continue maintenance on some of those corridors where you've had some recent plantings done because of construction projects. You'll probably remember back in the FY25 budget, you adopted a 2-year plan to convert highway lighting to LED. That was to replace 5,800 fixtures, over 172 lane miles, to create some energy efficiency and enhance highway safety. I believe the first line burial project is coming online soon as well. And so this ordinance that created this fund does take the Brown ordinance procedure form. So to amend it, to add these funds into it, you would need to go through the Brown ordinance process. And then the final bullet point below goes over maybe a transparency enhancement, I guess I would call it, on how these funds are going to be used. And so the ordinance will propose that the mayor or their designee, so likely the Public Works Department, would develop a 5-year plan for how those funds would be used, and then they would present those plans to the council, and then that way the council and the public is fully aware of how their investment is being utilized. Equitably across all 9 districts in that 5-year strategic plan. Yes. So next steps on the timeline, today we're having just this initial presentation. We will hopefully bring the franchise ordinance next week on the 29th. But if it is all right with you, we did not want to put it on first read on the 5 o'clock at that time because we wanted to give you opportunity to look at it, give you opportunity to bring it back on the 6th if you need to have additional committee discussion. And then we're also proposing having a public hearing on the 6th so people can give feedback. The other thing that does when you extend out the timeline is ONG has agreed to table at some of the upcoming community conversations, so it lets us have a couple of those community conversations through the tabling before you actually vote to send it to an election. The franchise agreement is up in the fall, and so an August election is proposed for the franchise. This schedule is for the franchise agreement. That Public Ways Fund would come through a separate ordinance. Because it does require the Brown ordinance process, it will be a little bit more of an extended timeline for this. That's it. If there's any questions today, we can start taking questions today, but we'll bring the actual ordinances for you to review for next week.
Can you just tell us the counselors that have been working on this?
We started back in the fall and with the chair and the vice chair, so at that time it was Counselor Gilbert and Lakin, and then when Counselor Bingle became vice chair, he joined the group.
Okay. Thank you. I can't remember, Counselor Bingle, if you were on when we did PSO, but I know Counselor Lakin, Hall Harper, and I did the last PSO and Jack and Sarah, so hopefully, I can't remember, were you on already?
I think so.
Okay.
That's
So-
very rare to get two.
So we get two, look at, you were a special
That's very
unicorn.
special.
Yeah.
I don't think we're unlimited company.
No. The timeline of this, I'm just thinking back to the PSO, there was some community engagement, and we brought these two dedicated ONG specialists. Can you just talk a little bit about the community engagement piece that either has taken place or that our constituents can expect to take place before we take up the vote?
So one is, and this is a proposed schedule up here, so one is the public hearing opportunities for people to come
Here
directly
at
here.
5 o'clock, okay.
The community conversations that are scheduled in May, ONG is gonna have a table there so
Okay.
that people can come engage. Although the PSO had fantastic things, it was very well put together town hall, it wasn't
Well
heavily
attended, I remember.
And so I think this approach might actually
Okay.
drive some more traffic to engage with
So
the
for
issue.
citizens who want to engage directly with ONG representatives or some city officials around this topic, there'll be a science fair type table opportunity at the upcoming community conversations in May.
Yes, and we're gonna try to put a handout together, and so that way, if you have a town hall between now and then, you also can take that handout to that town hall, and I'm sure anybody's happy to come to other town halls and
Okay,
talk
sure.
through it.
And a webpage as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, did I miss anything? A webpage?
No.
There's, there's a webpage that people can
Being
visit?
developed, it's
Okay.
not live yet, but we
Okay.
will have one with kind of some general basic information on it that people can be referred to and
Okay.
learn more.
So when we get all that, we'll share out so that people know what it is and what it isn't. I think that's what I learned from the last time we did this, like a lot of assumptions were made about what it was, that it wasn't. So we can do a better job of helping educate as we go. You know,
Yeah.
I think you know, at the end of the day, we're putting on a ballot so that voters will support the thing that we put on the ballot, so. Okay, well, thanks for dedicating your time to talking about it, and thanks for the work that you all are doing to get us across the finish line. If there's no further questions on this item, then the meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, Sarah, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
You don't want to rush